The nightmare legend of Clinton Road, a survivor's testimony. A few friends, a few too many drinks, an old wives' tale we were destined to prove, and a situation that seemed to have no way out. We had always been warned by our parents never to go up to certain parts in West Milford. Rumors, some possibly true, about one particular road in West Milford that had a very serious reputation. Now, don't ask me why we believe this, or would have wanted to have seen this, but one Saturday night after a party, 6 of us set out on what would be hopefully the most horrifying experience in my life ever. That night, after a really good party, we were sitting in Dunkin' Donuts in the T-Bowl Shopping Center Strip Mall in Wayne. We were all talking about what to do when all of a sudden, someone brought up Clinton Road. "You guys ever heard of Clinton Road?" an associate friend asked. I heard it was nothing, but then I heard a few other stories too. He paused, as he had us on the edge of our seats, but he refused to tell us until we got there, to West Milford. We agreed because of how bored and anxious we were to hear the earth-shattering story. On the way there, we finally got the story out of him, and by the end of the time we got there, 3 of us, including me of course, would have turned around if we could have gotten home. "I don't know, man. Should we go?" I said with fear in my voice. My friends immediately detected my fear and started antagonizing me. "Yeah, guys, let's call Brian's mommy, and she can come pick him up," they joked. "No, I was just..." "Forget it. Let's just go," I said with anger and a little bit of resentment in my voice. We ventured on down the road with adventure, determination, and fear in our eyes. I couldn't admit I was scared to death to my friends. They would have mocked me forever. Well, maybe until later that night. We came to a fork in the road. Mike was driving, Dan was in the middle, and Chris was riding shotgun. Andy, Mark, and I were in the back seat when all of a sudden a white truck appeared in the distance behind us, but only sped up to visibility's distance. And if we stopped, they stopped. We sped up really fast, lost him, and took a U-turn because that really spooked us, and we were going to be going home. Just as we came around a bend, we again saw the white truck, and we pulled over, and he sped very, very fastly away. We were talking on the way back towards Route 23, when 100% unexpectedly, we were sideswiped by a monster black truck. I initially thought it was our friend's truck and an Explorer, our friend Jack, who had been behind us, but it was not. The fear that made my heart almost skip a beat had just occurred, and a feeling of absolute dread came over my body, and all of a sudden it felt like a dream or a horror movie that I had no control over. As I glanced, I viewed the huge front right wheel in my face. All of a sudden, the window shattered down the car with glass flying all around. This only intensifies the noise of the blaring engine, roaring on through us with every heartbeat. I couldn't believe what had just happened to me. The car began going towards the side of the built-up road, around a huge stream and reservoir. If we had gone off the side of the road at such excess speeds of 90 to 100 miles an hour, I don't think we were ever going to get out. As we got closer and closer to the side of the road, as we were pounded again and again by this monster black truck from behind, as we raced faster and faster, the truck continued to tail us. Every time the truck neared the back of our car, Mike would go faster and faster, and his car, with the damage it had already received, could barely handle the turns. We were all totally silent. Only the sounds of the pounding against the back of our car, and the occasional murmur of one of us too scared to cry, and too frightened to react. All I could think was, why was this happening to us? Why? We were good, honest kids. We had just made a brainless decision one night, and we were going to pay for it with our lives? It just didn't seem fair. As we continued down the road at overly excessive speeds, with the black truck in hot pursuit of us, in the distance we saw a flashing red and yellow light, which at the time we believed was the stoplight on Route 23. As we neared the light, the truck sped to catch us, chased us all the way up Route 23, where we finally took a U-turn past an old restaurant where a police officer had been stationed seeking speeders, pulled over that gentleman and filed a DWI arrest against them. Charges were filed in Passaic County Court, and I believe the gentleman whose car it was paid almost $4,000 for the damages. When we finally got away, I remember racing away, and I wrote this in high school as a senior. So hearing it is actually kind of, I just found it a few months ago and wanted to share it with the world because this really did happen. And I'm going to read the last paragraph and I'm going to go into, we had just experienced what I hope to believe was the closest near-death experience in my lifetime. That night, we vowed never to tell anyone about Clinton Road, just for the simple fact that someone might feel just as adventurous and may not come out as lucky. That night will always be a nightmare come true for me, and if others asked, we warn them to not be stupid, not bold, brave, or adventurous, and never, ever go there. I'm living, thank God, proof. If nobody believes me, I'm sorry. Take my word, beware of Clinton Road. Now, obviously, I wrote this when I was 17 years old, and this had just happened, so it was pretty serious. But in general, I guess I wanted to release this story, not to make people be like, oh my God, Clinton Road's such a scary place. But a couple years back, I started hearing about people making movies about Clinton Road, and there was multiple documentaries on, I'm talking major television networks that were talking about the ghost of Clinton Road, which just creates more interest and creates more people to want to go there. And I can imagine that if these things go back 30, 40 years, these stories had just progressed and progressed. More people came and started harassing these people. Myself probably was included at 17 years old, driving up and down somebody's block. If somebody drove up and down your block looking for a ghost or some car to roll backwards, it would annoy you too after 15, 20 years of living there. Obviously, I can't condone what the gentleman who really tried to kill us, drunken rage or not, did try to kill 6 children and anybody else he could that night, including our other friend in the other vehicle behind us. But one of the scariest experiences of my life for sure still. I'm 40 years old today, and I can say that finding this story was definitely a huge, and sharing it with the world was definitely a huge emotional release. But my message is not of fear, because fear is not from God. And I didn't want to share this to scare you, even though it's called what it is to help get more people to listen to it. But it's actually just to say is, guys, ghosts, no. Pissed off people, yeah. Keep harassing people and see what happens. And I'm not saying there's not evil in the world. This definitely was an evil situation that occurred. But it less to do with the silly ghost nonsense story I think we originally were told that we were so interested in seeking that we almost became ghosts in a night that just shouldn't have happened. So my message to the world is, guys, is seek God before you try to seek ghost stories and get yourself in physical human trouble, whether it be through upsetting someone and creating a road rage situation or property trespassing and you end up getting arrested. Guys, it's just not worth it. There's more things. If you seek and ye shall find. But you're not talking about nonsensical stories that some joker told us in Dunkin' Donuts. You're talking about the path of Jesus Christ. And that's ultimately what I believe protected me that day And I think everybody else in that car was protected as well, maybe because of that, or maybe because a couple people were meant to survive into that from that horrible situation and be able to talk about it. So again, this is not to instill fear in others, but I will. It's to beware of stories like this and empathetically think about it before you seek out to find something that really might just be a ridiculous made-up story that some kid was trying to make friends at a Dunkin' Donuts that could have led to 6 to 10 people dying that night. So guys, just remember, seek God, not silly stories. Don't seek ghosts. You don't know where they're from. And I'll just leave it there. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, God bless you always and your loved ones. Stay safe. Keep them close. Tell them how much you love them, because tomorrow was never guaranteed.
Psalm 23 begins. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You've anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord